Good morning everyone, especially to you Sir Gamali. I am Rapi Adorimus from Salay, Misamis Oriental. In this video, I will discuss the topic of chapter 6 and chapter 7. The title is Drug. So first, what is drug? Drug is an So first, what is drug? Drug is a chemical substance that brings about physiological, behavioral, and or psychological change in a person taking it. All medicines are drugs, but not all drugs are medicine drug. So dili daw tanan medisina kay droga. Dili po tanan droga medisina. Ang uban makadaot. So kana lang. Next, what is medicine drugs? Medicine drugs is a substance which when taken into the human body cures illness and or relieves signs symptoms of disease. So that's the medicine drugs. Next, what is dangerous drugs? Dangerous drugs, a substance affecting the central nervous system which when taken into the human body brings about physical, emotional, or behavioral changes in a person taking it. What is drug abuse? So any non-medical use of drugs that cause physical, psychological, legal, economic, or social damage to the user or to people affected by the user's behavior. Abuse usually refers to illegal drugs but may also be applicable to drugs that are available legally, such as prescribed medication and certain counter medications. Classification of drugs. There's four types of classification. Number 1, according to origin. Number 2, according to legal classification. Number 3, according to international classification. And the last is according to pharmacological classification effects. So first is the according to origin. The according to origin, natural drugs are active ingredients, secondary metabolic products of plants and other living systems that may be isolated by extraction. Examples: raw opium, marijuana, coca bush. So that's the example. Synthetic drugs. So synthetic drugs are artificially produced substances synthesized in the laboratory for the illicit market, which are almost wholly manufactured from chemical compounds in illicit laboratories. Examples: methamphetamine, barbiturates. According to legal classification, number 2. Number 2 is the according to legal classification. A. RE 9165 Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. B. PD 1619 Volatile Substance. C. RE 6425 Classified as regulated and prohibited. So, under RE 9165, the term prohibited and regulated was changed into dangerous drugs. Number 1, immediate precursors. A chemical substance used in the clandestine manufacturing process becomes incorporated in full or in part into the final molecules of a substance under international control. Number 2, essential chemical. Chemical substance used as reagent or solvent in the illegal manufacture of controlled substances. Next. According to international classification, narcotic substance, any of a class of substance that blunt the senses as opium, morphine, belladonna, marijuana, and alcohol that in large quantities produce euphoria, stupor, or coma, that when used constantly can cause habituation or addiction, and that are used in medicine to relieve pain, cause sedation, and induce sleep. So B, psychotropic substance, a drug or other substance that affects how the brain works and causes changes in mood, awareness, thoughts, feelings, or behavior. Examples psychotropic substances include alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, marijuana, and certain pain medicines. Also called psychoactive substance. C. Designer drugs. A designer drug is structural or functional analog of controlled substance that has been designed to mimic the pharmacological effects of original drug, while according to pharmacological classification effects, A. Stimulants, B. Hallucinogens, C. Depressants, and D. Inhalants. Number 1, stimulants are drugs which increase alertness of physical disposition. Example, amphetamine. Street name, eye opener, lead popper, pills, upper hearts. What it is? So what it is? Reduce appetite, relieves mental depression, comfort fatigue, and sleepiness. How taken? Orally as a tablet or capsule. Effects, so yung effects. General, wakefulness, increased alertness, initiative, toxic from restlessness to coma and death. So next, example number 2. Shabu, methamphetamine, chloride. Subs obas your power sa eyes. What it is? White odorless crystalline powder with a bitter numbing taste. How taken? Ingestion, inhalation, chasing the dragon, sniffing, injection, smoke. Effects: general anxiety, irritability, rational behavior, long-term psychosis similar to schizophrenia, difficult in concentrating, loss of interest in sex, physical, chest pain, irregular heartbeat, hypertension, convulsion and death, dangerous injection from contaminated needles may lead to wreck of life. Next, hallucinogens are drugs which affect sensation, thinking, self-awareness, and emotion. Example, ecstasy, street name XTC, Adam, essence, herbals, how taken, swallowing or inhalation. Effects, exaggerated emotions, makes HRBP, hike up, dries the mouth, stiffens arm, legs, jaw, deltoids, pupils of the eyes, cause faintness, chill, sweating, and nausea. Dangers, it can really kill. So makapatay gid siya. Number 2, example number 2, LSD or the lysergic acid diethylamide, street name Lossy in the Sky, Woodsick, Diamonds, Wedding Bells acid, white sugar, lightning cubes, brain eaters. What it is? A semi-synthetic alkaloid substance extracted from a fungus which grows on rye, wheat, and other grains, odorless, tasteless, colorless. So effects: psychological, vivid hallucinations, confusion, blurring and distinction between conscious and unconscious thought, and etc. Physical, dilated pupils, flash face, increased BP, and etc. Dangers may cause abnormal amount of breaking of chromosome of WCS that carry genes which may result to. So example, marijuana, street name Mary Jean, flower, pampapugi, brown wines, damo, pati, joint, dope. What it is? Comes from cannabis, sativa, or Indian hemp. Looks like fine green tobacco. How taken? Smoke in pipes, cigarettes, can be taken in food, made into candy, sniffed in powder form, mixed with honey or butter. Effects: immediate, faster heartbeat, bloodshot eyes, dry mouth. Long term: chest pain, temporary loss of fertility, cancer, marijuana burnout. Dangers: slow down users' mental and psychomotor activities. Long term use may lead to psychological dependence, may lead to cancer. Depressants are drugs which depress or lower the functions of central nervous system. Type of depressants: so narcotics, a drug which induces sleep, hypnotics or stop or relieve pain. Analgesics, something that soothes or causes a sensation of mental numbness. This includes opiates, heroin, morphine, and codeine. Tranquilizers, a substance that reduces anxiety, ease tension, and relax muscles. Sedatives and hypnotics, calm the nerves, reduce tension, and inducing sleep. Example: barbiturates, alcohol. Number 4, Inhalants, these are any liquid, solid, or mixed substance that has the property of releasing toxic psychoactive vapors or fumes. Example, solvent, glue, gasoline, kerosene, paint, thinner, naphthalene. So what are considered dangerous drugs? Dangerous drug is a substance affecting the central nervous system which when taken into the human body brings about physical, emotional or behavioral changes in a person taking it. It is a substance which when taken into the human body alters mood, perception, feelings and behavior. Under Republic Act 6425, otherwise known as the Drug Act of 1972. Dangerous drugs are classified into three main categories, namely number 1, prohibited drugs, B, regulated drugs, C, volatile substances. A prohibited drug which includes opium and its active components and derivatives such as heroin and morphine, coca leaf and its derivatives, principally cocaine, alpha and beta-usine, hallucinogenic drugs such as mescaline, lysergic acid, diethylamide or LSD, and other substances producing similar effects. Indian hemp and its derivatives, all preparations made from any of the foregoing, and other drugs and chemical preparations, whether natural or synthetic, with the psychological effects or a narcotic or a hallucinogenic drug, as amended by BP 179 dated March 2, 1982. So, regulated drug number 2, which includes which includes self-inducing sedatives such as secobarbital, phenobarbital, pentobarbital, barbital, amobarbital, and any other drug which contains a salt or a derivative of a salt of barbituric acid, any salt isomer or salt of and isomer of amphetamine such as benzedrine or dexedrine, or any drug which produces a psychological action similar to amphetamine, and hypnotic drugs such as methaqualone, nitrazepam, or any other compound producing similar physiological effects, as amended by PD number 1683 dated March 14, 1980. So C, volatile substance, liquid, solid or mixed substances having the property releasing toxic vapors or fumes, or any chemical substance which when sniffed, smelled, inhaled or introduced into the psychological system of the body induce a condition of intoxication, inebriation, excitement, stupefaction, or and etc. Republic Act 9165, otherwise known as the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, gives a single definition for prohibited regulated drugs. The law defines the terms dangerous drugs as pertaining to either drug dependence, means a state of psychic arising in a psychic or physical dependence or both on a dangerous drug arising in a person following administration or use of that drug on a periodic or continuous basis. Characteristics of drugs dependency. So characteristic. Number 1, physical dependence. The body's physical system changes until the body needs that particular drug in order to function. Mental or psychological dependence. A need of drug in order to feel good, to get by or feel normal. Idiosyncrasy or side effect. Use refers to the act of injecting intravenously, smoking, sniffing, eating, swallowing, drinking, or otherwise introducing into the psychological system of the body any of the dangerous drugs. So, sell means the act of giving a dangerous drug whether for money or any other material consideration. Question: what happens to the confiscated, seized, and surrendered dangerous drugs? Plant sources of dangerous drugs, controlled procedures, and essential chemicals, instrument, paraphernalia, and or laboratory equipment. Answer. So answer is the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA shall have custody of all dangerous drugs, plant essential chemicals as well as instruments, paraphernalia, and or laboratory equipment that are confiscated, seized, and or surrendered. The apprehending team or the group in custody of the confiscated drugs shall immediately prepare an inventory or photograph the items in the presence the accused or his counsel, a representative from the media and the Department of Justice or DOJ, and any elected public official. The items will then be submitted to the PDEA forensic laboratory for examination. Within 24 hours after receipt of the items, the forensic laboratory examiner shall issue a certification of the laboratory results. So the court shall be conducted an ocular inspection of the confiscated items within 72 hours after the filing of the criminal case. The PDEA shall then destroy or burn the items in the presence of the accused, a representative from media and DOJ, civil society groups, and any elected official. However, a representative sample shall be retained. After the judgment has been rendered in the criminal case, the trial prosecutor shall inform the Dangerous Drugs Board that the case has been terminated and ask permission from the court to turn over the representative sample to the PDEA. So next, chapter 7, examination of dangerous drugs. Next, drug testing is a form of forensic testing. Drug test results issued should be scientifically, legally, and forensically defensible. So, drug identification. Drug identification is a branch of forensic chemistry that deals with the scientific examination of drugs, volatile substances. Drug identification is usually conducted by a forensic chemical officer to determine the presence of dangerous drugs on submitted specimens. The forensic chemical officer also conducts drug tests on body fluids or of suspected drug exposures and users to determine the presence of dangerous drug metabolites. Next, Paraphernalia like smoking pipes, toters, and aluminum foils also be submitted for examination to determine the presence of dangerous drugs. Forms of dangerous drugs. Drugs are in various forms. This includes tablets, capsules, liquid, powder, brick or discs of marijuana, crushed leaves, and uprooted plants. A. Examination of sample taken from alleged confiscated dangerous drugs. Next. Methods of examination. So, number 1, qualitative examination. Number 2, quantitative examination. So, step common to qualitative and quantitative methods. So, number 1 of method to be used. Number 2, physical test. Number 3, sampling. Number 4, sample preparation. 5, chemical test. Confirmatory examination. Number 7, calculation and interpretation of dates. 8, drawing of conclusion and writing report. Next. Two phases in the examination of alleged confiscated dangerous drugs. So, number 1, screening. Screening test. Preliminary test, also known as the color test. This test is non-specific and preliminary in nature. This includes to reduce the family or group of drug to a small and manageable number. Screening test includes a series of color tests producing characteristic colors for each family or group of drugs. This is done by adding a specific reagent to a known sample in spot plate. The screening test is quite simple to perform even by investigators in the field. As a matter of fact, field tests using these techniques are being taught in narcotics. Next. Note: it must be noted that positive results of these tests are not conclusive, as there are substances that may give some positive color reactions upon addition of the specific reagents. Hence, confirmatory tests must be performed by the forensic chemical officer on case to establish the presence and identification of dangerous drug. It must also be noted that only those specimens that yield presumptive positive results are subject to confirmatory tests in order to confirm if the positive results of the screening test is really positive. Confirmatory test is the method employed to confirm the results of the screening. Preliminary test. This test involves the application of an analytical procedure to identify the presence of a specific drug or metabolites. This is independent of the screening test, and which uses techniques and chemical principles different from that of the initial test in order to ensure reliability and accuracy. There are several methods used in the next. Number 2, chromatography. Chromatography is the process of separating mixture and comparing the migration of its component, which standards some chromatographic techniques include gas chromatography, thin layer chromatography, high pressure liquid chromatography. What is a gas chromatography? It is a separate technique. The mobile phase is a gas. Separation is based on the difference in migration rates among sample components. Spectroscopy, a confirmatory method whereby light is used to identify the sample specimen. 4. Fourier transform inferred spectroscopy or FITR, used for identification of pure organic substances, identifies organic substances, particularly dangerous drugs and explosive ingredients based on their characteristic functional groups. In layman's term, the resulting spectrum could be referred to as fingerprints of the substance. Ultraviolet visible spectroscopy used for screening of dangerous drugs in urine specimen. Examination of the urine specimen. The rate of excretion from the body depends on the drug's solubility in fat. Water-soluble drugs such as cocaine are excreted quickly, while fat-soluble drugs such as marijuana may take several weeks or months before excretion. Drug tests must be conducted to apprehended individuals who are suspected to be a user. So, instances when to allow and observe urine specimen collection. When donor is physically unable to go to the laboratory, when donor is involved in a crime scene, when donor is involved in post-accident trauma, when donor is critically ill. Different types of tampered urine specimen. Adulterated, a specimen containing either a substance that is not a normal constituent for that type of specimen or containing an endogenous substance at a concentration that is not a normal psychological concentration. Balik. Different types of tampered urine specimen. So, adulterated, a specimen containing either substance that is not a normal constituent for type of specimen or containing an endogenous substance concentration that is not a normal psychological concentration. Diluted refers to a specimen with less than normal physiological constituents substituted, a specimen which has been derived through switching or replacement of the original sample. Ways to adulterate urine samples: addition of salt, addition of juice, addition of detergent, addition of bleach and other oxidizing adulterants, addition of illicit drugs. Ways to substitute a urine sample: urine from friends or other persons not using drugs may be used as substitute specimen. Replace sample with other substance similar to urine in appearance. Ways to dilute a urine specimen: internal dilution, e.g. intake of plenty of water before collection or drinking of herbal tea, and etc. External dilution, example addition of water to previously collected urine. Next, parameters for validity test. Initial validity test: physical characteristics such as color, odor, etc. Volume, temperature, pH, specific gravity, nitrites. Confirmatory validity test: physical characteristics such as color, odor, etc. Volume, temperature, pH, specific gravity, nitrites, creatinine, oxidizing agents. Other methods for confirmatory validity test: physical characteristics visually determined, volume same as physical characteristics, temperature using thermometer, pH meter calibrated with appropriate buffers. Other methods of confirmatory validity test. Physically characteristics visually determined. Volume same as physical characteristics. Temperature using thermometer. pH meter calibrated with appropriate buffers. Specific gravity, use a refractometer. When do we consider a urine specimen is valid? A urine specimen is considered invalid under the following circumstances: adulterated, substituted, or diluted, improperly collected, handled, and stored, improperly documented. And that's all. Thank you and God bless. Thank you, sir.